see this somehow?
Yeah, so it's been featured in a few documentaries. It's one of the biggest, really just close encounters of the third kind documented ever. But there's been some big school visitings where so this one specifically, it was 65 kids in Zimbabwe in 1994. They claimed this. There's another one in 1965 in Australia with 400 students and teachers. And then there was one in 2001, I believe, in Florida. All the same ship description, silver disc with two smaller ones.
I believed everyone but Florida.
Florida man sees.
Yes. Oh, sorry. My buddy Ron's in town from Florida, so I have to make a joke. What do you think is like the most underestimated part of the process of making a film like this that you think that people maybe like not in the industry might see?
For this one, it was just pulling together some really crazy resources. It was super micro budget, and we shot and edited the entire film in a month, which is really unheard of. Yeah.
That might have been our fault too.
But yeah, it was. My dad has a good friend that has an exotic game ranch, so we were allowed to film in there. I just happened to meet an amazing Academy Award-winning CGI artist that helped me put together that spaceship. So it was just about being really resourceful for this film.
And how was it working with? I see we have some of the one of the actresses here. And how was it working with so many kids? Yeah. And how was it seeing yourself on the screen tonight? Is this the first time or no? Awesome. Well, we're so happy you could make it.
Stella and Carrie-Ann were amazing to work with. But all the kids blew my mind. Behavior and Emery was the other main girl. They all just like really cool. Because I casted myself, but it was just casting in Texas, and these kids had to get a South African accent, and I don't know how they did it, but yeah.
How many
pulled it off.
About how many people were on the cast?
I think we had, did we have 12 kids there altogether? Right. Yeah, and then maybe.
And Daria was in it?
Daria had to step into, this is our production manager.
Yeah,
and AD, but our guy that we had cast for John Mack, we were COVID testing everybody, and he tested positive for COVID the day before. And our production manager stepped in.
He did a great job.
So thank you, Darren, for wearing a lot of different hats.
Did you find it hard at all to make Texas look like Africa, or?
So this is a proof of concept film. So I've already written the feature. That's what I did first. And then when Antonio had approached me about being an artist in residency here, he's like, what would you want to do as a project? And so I condensed this down into a short in hopes to getting this story made into a feature. So this is a totally like proof of concept, but I was just trying to make Texas look like Africa, like as best as I could. I think we pulled it off, at least for concept-wise. I think it could be a lot better if we had an actual budget to work with.
Yeah. I guess that leads me into the next question. Like, what are your goals with this film, and like, what do you think could be next? And I guess maybe you explain just a little bit about like this is kind of like your spec film, so to like kind of promote it to be something larger, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's just getting in front of some different eyes. I think, no pun intended.
I was gonna say, I've had too many dad jokes. I'm done.
But I think there's a lot of different communities that could care about this film. Obviously, it touches the UFO community. It touches climate change.
Yeah, I think that was really the big takeaway for me.
Yeah.
Environmentalism.
Exactly. And then someone had also suggested, maybe approaching the Zimbabwe Film Commission, so we'll see what happens with it. Dan Aykroyd also loves this story. So if anybody knows Dan Aykroyd, I'm really trying to get this to Dan Aykroyd.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I saw him. There's a guy that's been making a documentary specifically on this story for like 12 years, and it's still not out. I think it's gonna come out soon. I don't know. But Dan Aykroyd is in that documentary. So if anybody knows Dan Aykroyd, just putting it out there.
Well, I don't know. I really love the coloration of the film and like switching between like the old VHS recording type stuff and all the overlays and things. Do you have any comments on any of that stuff? Like, just like how hard was it to? I guess you had to do some research on what was popular at that time.
Yeah, I slapped a VHS filter on it the first go around, and I was like, this looks terrible. And so I had to manually go and, create like 4 layers and, drift each layer over a different RBG or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was just kind of a cool effect. It actually was way over exaggerated for obviously what that film was, but yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, and I really loved at the end the flashback or the throwback videos from the actual event and the real children.
I thought that was really important, and it started out with that actual news footage, So the basic story was for like 3 or 4 days, all over Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Botswana, there was like crafts being seen everywhere. And then this was like kind of the culmination that these aliens visited these school children and broad daylight landed outside their school.
I guess like one last question from me, and then I'm gonna open it up to the crowd for a couple. But like, what was your favorite thing about the whole film? Like shooting it and everything. What did you love the most? Like, who did you have any like experience that you would like to just like share of like just what you loved the most?
Sure. I think the first, so we had originally wanted to shoot everything in one day. That was I was like, let's shoot it all in one day. And Daria's like, are you sure, bro? And so we had it scheduled, and so we started out at the school. And the school shooting was just going way longer than expected. And so we were like, we gotta just do it one more day. So we shot it all in 2 days. So the next day we went, or not the next day, but a week later, we went to the exotic game ranch, and that was just a really magical day. It was nice being around all the animals. And then, like 10 years ago, there's a black rhino there, and I had this amazing experience with this black rhino. And so we had all the kids go meet the rhino, and got to meet it. And but to see those kids like touch that rhino, like I had touched that rhino 10 years ago. It was awesome. It was like it felt so good to like share that experience. I mean, I hope you'll never forget that, Stella. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Does anybody have any other questions that they want to know about the production from Luke while we have it? Yes.
Okay, for the shots that you did, like I know, like obviously I was there, so I know things that you were doing, but it was so like ominous. So were you going into this with the idea that it was like borderline, like horror? It wasn't horror. I don't know what. It was very ominous. Like, but you had a shot list of like exactly where you wanted like the camera for all of those things.
Yeah, so her question was, she was one of the main actresses on set, just like, I guess, it had a very ominous vibe. And yeah, and I think totally from originally the whole thought of this was how ominous it is, and like how these characters, I really wanted to show these characters just going about a natural day, and your character, how you're just like casually hearing about it in the news, but then something very dramatic happens to these children that they've never changed their story on or forgotten. It's changed all their lives forever. So I just kind of wanted to show, yeah, the dramatic effect that could happen. So I mean, it's ominous. It's crazy. I mean, if this story is true, you know, like aliens visited a bunch of kids and communicated with them. So I wanted it to feel definitely ominous.
Yes. She wants to know, can you share any plans for the future film or for the full length?
I think the main thing would be diving into some of a few more characters, like the dynamic of the children and their parents, and some of their parents not believing them, some of them do, but that whole dynamic, and this is a lot of, really this whole story is just coming from the mouths of the kids. To me, I just think it's an amazing story. And then they ended up, you know, like going back to the original school later and like meeting up as adults and talking about their experience. So maybe showing that in the film as well. So showing the children, you know, going through the experience, but then also showing them as adults.
Yeah. One more question, maybe two. Okay, one more.
Okay, following on that, in the feature film, are you going to also include other accounts, Australia, Florida, or only focus on Florida?
I had thought about including those even in this, like in the credits or something. I didn't want it to get too misdirected, you know, but like that part's really interesting to me, that like those schools were visited by the same ship that they were in. So I don't know, those ships are visiting schools.
We'll take one more from Ashley.
I personally have seen a few crafts with other people that are with me in every circumstance, and so I do believe that we're being visited, and this story just, when you look into it, I mean, if y'all are interested in the story, I encourage you to just, you know, Google or YouTube Zimbabwe UFO sighting or whatever. Kids, yeah, like there is so much information on this, and when you dive into the story, you're like, these kids cannot be lying. Like it's just like really crazy.
All right, guys. I want to just.
You.
Sorry, you still going?
No. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, Luke. Thank you to the cast and crew, all the production team, all the people who planned everything. I mean, planning is so much work.
Cast and crew of this film and everybody being here tonight. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you again to all of our sponsors. I wanted to let everybody know we're going to show a music video from Ron Wayne in about 15 minutes. And that's something we produced with him, and we are really excited to show that. And we will be reconvening in just a few moments. I'm looking forward to sharing that with y'all. Go get a drink and take a smoke, do whatever.